Hi, good evening. Are we ready? Yeah. Okay. All right, we're going to start with the FCRTA and it is 5:38 and Thursday, February 26, 2026. Roll call, please. There is, oh. This one.
Here.
City of Firebaugh,
Here.
City of Fowler,
Here.
Fresno County,
Here.
City of Huron,
Here.
City of Kerman, City of Kingsburg,
Here.
City of Mendota,
Here.
City of Orange Cove,
Present.
City of Parlier,
Here.
City of Reedley, City of Sanger, City of San Joaquin,
Here.
City of Selma.
Here.
We have quorum.
Thank you. All right, so we can move on to the public presentations. Is there anyone from the public that would like to present to the board at this time? Okay, hearing none. So we have consent items. Is there any consent item that any of the board members would like to pull at this time? Any
Yeah.
from the, oh, you do? Okay.
Yes,
Which Wait, I
and-
can't hear you. I'm
oh,
sorry.
sorry,
That's
A
okay.
and C, just had a couple of,
A and C?
yes.
Okay. Okay, let's go over A and C. Let's start with the minutes. And you want to start with the minutes?
Sure. Yeah, on A, I wasn't sure if I'm reading this right on the last board meeting. I think the mayor of Coalinga voted no on that item. It's not reflected that, and maybe I'm missing something. Oh, you're right. Okay, he's right.
Okay, we'll
So-
make that correction.
Okay, that was A, and then on,
All that too. Yeah, I recall that too, that you
Okay.
voted no.
thank you. Sure. And on, you get.
For the-
It's actually on B, not C. You list the ethnic background of the members of this committee, and I'm wondering why we're listing their ethnic backgrounds.
Are you, okay, is that the FCRTA or are you talking about?
Oh, I might have jumped. I'm sorry, I jumped.
I'm like, I was
Yep.
getting, I was
Right.
thinking like, was that on the COG?
I'm
or was that
sorry.
the FCRTA? Okay.
I'm just
that's
trying
fine.
to speed this
Wait
up.
for that. Okay, no, that's fine. All right, so
Apologies.
is there any other item in the consent? Hearing none. Any from the public? Do you have a motion to approve?
I'll
So
move that
moved.
we approve consent calendar as presented.
Okay, that was a Fireball and second from Huron.
Mhm.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries, and we have one item from staff.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, board members. I would like to provide the board with an update on a few planning projects that we currently have underway. The first one is the microgrid phase 2 study. This was an information item in your agenda packet. We're currently working through the RFP process for a consultant selection, and we'll return to the board next month with a proposed consultant and agreement for your approval. And then secondly is our EV charging study. This study is more focused on the charging infrastructure that will be required for FCRTA to deploy its electric fleet. The study is wrapping up in the next few months. We're doing another stakeholder meeting, and then we're working on the draft document, and that'll come before the board for approval. And then lastly is our transit roadmap route analysis study that we recently kicked off. This project includes a comprehensive evaluation of the operations. It's also looking routes, technology, and marketing. We're working on scheduling all the stakeholder meetings and outreach for this project. This will take place in March, and we'll share the information with your city staff as soon as we have all that finalized. And then these are all projects that were funded by Caltrans Sustainable Planning Grants. So thank you, Caltrans. These projects provide a lot of value for us for planning purposes, and then we're also able to apply for capital funding after. And that's all I have. I can try and answer any questions you may have.
Any from the public? Okay, no, all right, then that's it for our FCRTA, a meeting adjourned, and it's 5:42. Now we can move on to the next item, which is that,
FCRTA done well.
yeah, oh yeah, hold on, yeah, hold on. Yeah. All right, we'll wait for them to get here. Always quick, it's always quick.
Keep the same momentum, Supervisor. Speed the meeting up.
Speed it, yep, have it going. That sounds good. So what we can do, since we're coming on. All right, and it is 5:43. This is Fresno Council of Governments, and it is also, today is February 26, 2026. Roll call, please.
City of Clovis. City of Coalinga.
Here.
City of Firebaugh.
Here.
City of Fowler.
Here.
City of Fresno.
Here.
City of Huron.
Here.
City of Kerman. City of Kingsburg.
Here.
City of Mendota. City of Orange Cove.
Present.
City of Parlier.
Here.
City of Reedley. City of Sanger. City of San Joaquin.
Here.
City of Selma.
Here.
Fresno County.
Here.
We have quorum.
Okay, thank you. And we can move on to the next item, and that is the sitting as a Measure C Mayor Selection Committee, and that is Jake.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jake Martinez. I am one of the staff assistants to the Measure C Citizens Oversight Committee. The Oversight Committee consists of 13 members, 6 public at large, and 7 from community representatives. The COC informs the public and ensures that Measure C program revenues are spent as promised. They review submitted expenditure reports, audits, and upcoming project forecasts from recipient cities and Fresno County. Currently, there are 5 available positions on the COC as of today. 4 of them represent the community organizations, and 1 for the public at large, the unincorporated rural area west of State Route 99. So after advertising these vacancies, we have received 1 applicant for the position of community organization representative from Jen Huera. Jen will be representing the Cultural Arts Rotary Club of Fresno. Included in today's agenda is her application packet, and she is present at today's meeting to answer any questions you have about her application or reason she is interested in joining the COC. But again, Fresno COG and FCTA staff will continue recruiting new members until all positions are filled. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you. Is there any, well, maybe we just like to introduce yourself and just say hi to the board and.
So please,
And
Jen, would you like to come on up and just say a little piece about yourself?
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
My name is Jen Guerra. I'm a lifelong Fresno County resident. I've served 8 years as vice chair of the Kingsburg Community Service Commission and 3 years as programs chair for Cultural Arts Rotary. I'm also a small business owner in wellness and technology for over 23 years. I had the opportunity to serve on the Measure C Steering Committee, which gave me insight into how regional transportation funding decisions are structured. I'm currently a full-time political science student, which has deepened my understanding of public policy and governmental accountability. And through all these roles, I worked with budgets, community priorities, and people from across different perspectives. I care about responsible stewardship of taxpayer dollars and making sure Measure C serves the entire region fairly and transparently. Thank you.
Anyone want to have any questions or just hello and, thank you for being here. We appreciate your time. And we can get started on how many other positions are vacant?
So after Jen is approved in the condition she is, there will be 4 available positions, 3 for the community organization and 1 public at large west of State Route 99, but they have to be in the unincorporated area.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. We're getting there.
Getting there slowly, yes, but surely, yes.
Okay, I think that's, did
Do you
you,
need a motion
do
or do you have public comment?
do we have public comments? Any public comments? Any other board has any questions? Nope. I think this.
Yeah, I'll be real quick. Moses Stites, FCTA Executive Director. I noticed Jen, when she was on the steering committee, she offered a lot of comments, very good dialogue. and oftentimes came up to staff and asked additional questions. Very interested in the whole process, and she made quite a few contributions throughout the process without controversy. And quite honestly, her attendance was noted by other members as well, and she was part of the team throughout the entire process. So look forward to working with her
Awesome.
after you take on this vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so do we have a motion to approve the Oversight Committee appointment of Jen? Okay,
Second.
Garrett. So Huron and second by Fresno. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Congratulations. Okay, so we can move on to the sorry? Transportation consent items. Is there any item in the consent?
Yes. Yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you. A and B.
A and B. Okay, here we go. So that one is the board minutes when you already, he says that there's an error on the board minutes for the vote on the analysis, pulling a voted no. And it doesn't reflect that.
Yeah.
So we'll make the correction on that one.
Okay.
And then there was
The-
another one.
Yeah, the B was the question of why are we basically listing on here people's ethnic backgrounds? What's the relevance of doing that?
Backgrounds.
Turn your mic.
My name's Todd Sobrato. I run the Unmet Transit Needs Process. This is a program that Fresno COG
Yeah,
started
this one. Mhm.
in about 90 to 1991. I've been running it annually for about the past 7 or 8 years. And this is just a requirement that I pretty much inherited. So I don't have a specific answer as to why it's been included or anything like that.
Does anybody else?
Okay, if there's no good reason, I'd make a motion to remove the ethnic backgrounds because I'm not sure the relevance of it. We want to hire or ask people to serve based on their merits, not on their ethnic backgrounds. So that would be my motion.
No, I think it should stay. And there's a very good reason why it should stay.
Why?
Because if there's a lack of representation from the different cultural communities that we have in Fresno County, then there's going to be a lack of accomplishing the goals that we need to ensure that there's a equitable investment in the various communities that we have in Fresno County.
Okay.
So, and it's never, you're not sure if it's been done, it's a requirement or anything that's required to be posted?
I'm not aware.
Sure. Another option is not to list it on this public document, but staff keeps a record of the diversity of the committee and then may report in general numbers as to what the representation is. That's usually typically a better and more legal way to go about it.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if.
So
I'd live
if
with
I
that.
if I may, Madam.
Yeah, go
Well,
ahead. 'Cause I think
Yeah,
there's-
I'd make a motion as to what Mr. Sloan.
So you're amending your motion.
Yes, sir.
Second it.
Okay, were you gonna? say
That's okay.
Yes.
Okay, so then we just remove it and just keep it in a separate document for staff, okay? So there's a motion from Huron, or who made the first motion? Oh,
Okay.
Gary, and then a second from Fresno. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed, I think transparency is something positive in this democracy. Thank you.
One opposition, so all those in favors, motion carries. Okay, we can move on to the next item. Is there any other item on the consent that anyone else likes to pull, other than those two?
A motion for the approval of the rest of the items.
Okay, motion from Mendota, second from the county. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion, any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Let's move on to the next item. And now we can go on to the next item.
And you're gonna move item 3. Move to item 3. on page
We're going to move to item 3. We're not going to item 2 yet. So we're going to start with item 3 on your agenda.
Help me out with that. What's the title of that you have?
This is the administrative consent. We're gonna flop the administrative consent item or the administrative calendar ahead of the transportation discussion calendar.
Thank you.
With that.
Right.
That, yeah, starting with that
So we're
item,
Starting with that one first, and then we'll go back to the other one.
right?
Thank you.
So go ahead.
This is a consent item.
Also, is there any items on this consent calendar that anyone wants to pull? I hear none. Any from the public? Okay, So do we have a motion to approve the administrative consent items?
A motion for one item.
I'll second that.
Okay, good. Motion from Mendota and second from
Starting
San Joaquin.
administration consent items.
Yeah.
And page,
Administration, yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Could I just have some clarity on if there's any changes in this? I know it's on as a consent item, proposed policy board rules of procedure, correct?
Mhm.
So, and obviously we've had this in place before, so is there any changes?
So this, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine.
Rescind the motion and second already.
That's fine. For clarity, we'll go ahead.
So by the bylaws and the JPA, the board operates under Robert's Rules of Procedure, and of course, under the Brown Act and First Amendment concerns and those kinds of things too. This doesn't change that, but it distills the most important rules down to an 8-page document that everybody can readily use. That's all it is. It's a distillation.
Kind of helps from the last time where we were kind of confused, so it's a lot better.
I have a question on specifically within the rules, what we have listed as number 6 under the procedures for general action items. I guess my question with that is we will hear from the public, but when the public is making their statements, I don't really see where this allows us to engage with them. But that's, and I guess it's saying on here, that we don't.
Is that
And
something? Yeah.
maybe I just want to throw it out to the room. I know that when the public comes in, if they have something that they want to present that we haven't thought about, and I don't understand what they're saying, I want clarification, or I want to have some sort of a dialogue because they're bringing up a good point. I want to add the ability to speak back or at least respond. You know, sometimes we've had there's accusations you want to respond to, or sometimes it's just clarification.
Right.
I don't see a point in here in which we can engage with the public just on the action item.
Yeah.
We could add a rule that says that board members may question or make comments at the time that the public is speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because it's never been something that we would do, but
Yeah,
that's a
and
valid point.
we can limit it. I mean, I don't want to go completely
Yeah,
off the
yeah.
rails,
I think
but
that's
I just want to have
reasonable.
an opportunity to engage with people as they comment.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. That's fine.
Now,
So are we going to add that on the?
I have a question on D. If you want to, can we ask a question at that time on D?
On which one?
On the, I'm sorry, B, on the administrative, on B, on the general counsel.
So we're still in the admin.
We're still on the,
I
oh,
think-
yeah,
isn't
we haven't
that
moved
admin?
on past that yet.
Isn't that admin?
Is,
We're on item 3A.
and it's a little confusing, I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is actually the title.
Oh, it's, sorry, got it.
I know,
That's
it's,
4. Okay, I didn't see it at the bottom. Okay.
all right, good. So then there was
I had a question.
who?
I just had a question over here, Clovis.
Oh.
Just for clarity, is this brought to, just for clarity, just brought
We-
forward to be so we can get our eyes on this to help with procedures in meetings? Is that accurate?
Yes.
Nothing new?
No.
It's all the same?
Expressly says that even if you violate these rules, it doesn't nullify an item.
Say that one more time, please.
Even if these rules are not followed, it does not nullify action on an item. So it's a
Dependent
guideline.
on the board,
Right, it's up to
majority,
the board.
right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's just to kind of not allow it, like what happened the last time when there was a lot of confusion and we had council trying to verify if it was available, that discussion happened. This is just something that will help the procedure process.
It's kind of like a handbook that we can have at our
No, I
ready.
think I get it, but
Yeah.
I guess since you brought that up, I mean, in this, then the procedure was not followed.
But that's what
you
he's
brought-
saying, it doesn't null the vote.
I got you, right,
Yeah.
because of the board
Yeah.
decision. I got you. Okay.
Okay,
I
think
just
we
had a
have to-
question.
Okay, go ahead.
Clovis. Okay. I would like to propose, but I will now just be in my first session with voting for chair and vice chair. Do we need better guidelines? Because I've never been in one, but then all it says here is just we just appoint. So
We actually have a separate
Oh, separate
process
document?
that, yes, that was
Okay.
adopted by resolution that we'll be discussing next month with regard to election of
Oh, excellent.
officers. We have a more specific set of rules regarding election of officers.
okay. And does it need to be referenced here at all? Attorney?
It's up to you all.
Oh, okay. If we already have something, then that's fine. I'll wait for them. Thanks.
Is there any other questions?
just one more question, you know, specifically on the item that we did have, you know, some issues with. What about tweaking that a little bit? Because I could see how, if something procedurally fails, but still has a majority, but it doesn't have a super majority needed to pass, and then somebody wants to bring something back that's very similar to that in the same meeting, technically, if it's the same motion, you're not supposed to, because it can only be brought back by the prevailing side. But I'd like to see that changed a little bit, because I think that there should be some kind of flexibility in there. I know that Robert's rule says one thing, but I also know that our decorum can state something different, even if we are on Robert's, from what I understand. Is that correct?
Well, what's in this document reflects Robert's rules.
Mhm.
And the bylaws require us to follow Robert's rules. So as to any given meeting, you could make a motion to vary from that. And then if that motion is approved, then you could follow whatever rule that you want to at that point.
Mhm. But I mean, the thing last time, I think, was because we didn't make that motion to make a change, because we wouldn't have known ahead of time that we were going to do something. I mean, you know, would you make that motion to make a change and then bring it back right then and there? Because it's not on the agenda. So I don't know how you'd be able to change that mid-fly. I'm looking at like some way to have some kind of flexibility. And from what I understand, and I could be wrong, but tell me, just because we say that we're going to use Robert's rules doesn't mean that we can't have something in our own bylaws that stray a little bit from the Robert's rules at the same time.
Right. Well, you do have an option of bringing a point of order and then making a motion to suspend the rules. And if that passes, then you can vary from the rules also.
Okay, that's good enough. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Alexis Amendo, oh, go ahead.
So I motion and.
And San Joaquin?
Amend the motion to include, Mayor's Brandon comment.
Yeah, to give that
Able
a
to engage.
engage.
So
Mhm.
Can you restate the whole motion?
It'd be easier if I just made it.
Yeah.
So I can take a shot.
So I'll do it. So I'll propose the motion that we adopt it with specific language that allows council to engage with the public during the public speaking portion of it. It will allow us to respond. It will allow us to ask clarifying questions.
Yep.
Good.
That's good.
So how do we
Okay.
keep track of their 3 or 5 minutes to ensure that they get their rightful amount of
I
time?
think what he wants is like when they ask a question or they're saying something, after they're done, then he can ask like
Yeah.
clarification questions, like, well, what did you mean by this? Or just to be able to have that
Yeah.
ability.
Well,
to
we kind of do
communicate.
that already, no?
Exactly right.
It would
No,
just be
we don't.
documented.
It's not, it's not in the, it's not in
It's
the,
not in the,
It wasn't consistent either. I think it had gone both ways. I think that we're just trying to solidify it so it's the same no matter whether we agree or disagree with the presenter, just to solidify.
protocol set. and
Yeah.
Systemic.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that way there's-
it's not-
Efficiency.
I mean, it's something that it's gotta be. You
Okay.
can't go on 2 hours debating with the person over there, right? So it's for clarification, comments
And that's that, yeah.
So should there be a statement?
Perfect, the way you said it, to not debate, so we're not
That states
debating.
that?
Yeah.
Let's
Okay,
get
so we
that
had the
explains to
motion from
avoiding that.
Brandon Kingsburg, and then we had the second from Reedley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yeah, it was meant over.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not against it. I'm saying just for clarification, right? Because there's two emotion.
Yeah, but he.
He doesn't amend,
Yeah.
he adopted
We're
your
going-
motion
That was clarified.
from his
The motion carries.
recommendation. Now we do it.
That's okay. All right, let's move on. So now we are going back to 3A. Okay, here it is. So we're on item 3A. Yeah, And so that's-
Excuse me, Chair, did we want to move to item 4?
which is
The administrative action? Oh, item 4A, sorry. Yeah, she's.
3A?
4A, yeah, 4A.
Okay.
That's this.
Yeah, the Fresno COGS, one voice for DC
Where are we?
advocacy
Sujan,
trip.
now?
And that would be Brenda.
Yep.
There she is.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. For the 2026 One Voice DC advocacy trip scheduled for March 22 to 26, staff had forwarded 14 regional priorities for your consideration. 8 of them consist of projects applying for fiscal year 2027 community project funding grants, also known as congressionally directed spending, which allows members of the House and Senate to request federal funding for specific projects in their districts or states during the annual appropriations process. Yesterday morning, we got an email that the House Appropriations Committee released the 2027 guidance for the appropriations process. The new guidance allows the congressional offices to submit up to 20 projects per district. That's an increase by 5. But the deadline for congressional members to submit those projects for appropriations was set for March 20th, 3 to 6 weeks earlier than, as far as we know, it has ever been the deadline before. Since our trip is scheduled for the 22nd to the 26th, and the projects are due on the 20th, we will miss being able to advocate for congressional support for 8 of the priorities that you were given that are on your list. So there's a new chart matrix that was handed out to you. All of the ones highlighted in kind of a peachy pink color are those earmarked priorities. Right now, we don't have any other recourse. We don't have any other federal need for marketing or for advocating for these particular priorities. And so we're not sure that you would want us to move forward with advocating for those 8. But there are 5 other priorities, 4 of which are build grant applications that will be submitted. And one is an 8-point policy request for the surface transportation reauthorization bill that actually Robert put together for changes to that bill regarding many different areas of funding and transportation. And in speaking with our DC consultant, Jen Covino, who is on the line, if you have questions for her about what we can and should do in DC with these priorities. And the project sponsors are also on Zoom, available to answer questions about them as well. We are looking for the policy board's direction in how you would like us to go forward with this trip. Do you want us to go with the 5? They're very valid, the large projects. Again, Robert's reauthorization principles are 8 different points. It's a lot of ground to cover in DC just to address those, and very high priority. And so we're looking for your direction for the trip and the remaining priorities, and then to approve if you want us to go ahead and go forward with possibly a smaller delegation. We need your approval on the advocacy priorities and the platform that we would take with us.
Couple of things. First of all, if the board decides not to go, what's the loss in terms of money? Because I know there's monies committed already. So what's that?
Right. We would owe the hotel, I believe it was $26,000.
Whether we go or not.
Right. Whether, if we don't go, we will owe that right now. We'd have to pay for 14 rooms for 4 nights. If we go, we'll go with a smaller contingent. We would owe, but owe less.
Yeah.
We have 9 people who have reserved rooms. I know that's going to change. People are waiting to see what you say tonight before they, Mayor Mejias is one of them, waiting for you to decide how you want us to move forward before they book their room. But Sunday is the deadline.
So in terms of economics, the cost is there.
Yeah.
We're paying for it no matter what.
Yeah.
Right.
But the question is, are we gonna pay for it as the COG entity or people pitching in so that COG don't need it all? Right.
That's correct. Yes. If we cancel, then COG eats it all. And airfare, I know our airfare will be credited to us to be used at a later time, but
I think that there's still value to go lobby and get in front of these people, even if it's, so the projects need to be submitted by March 6th. The appropriations have to have it, and they have until the March 20th to make a decision whether to include it in their appropriations request or not. Right. So, but the policy trip is on March 22nd. So it's 2 days later, meaning that the decision has been made already, and that's the
Earmarks.
that's the decision here, right? That's what we're bringing up here. But I think if the board can really emphasize, and it's not going to be in person, right? But emphasize the importance of including these projects and lobbying for these projects between now and before they make a decision,
Right.
and show up there the 22nd and lobby for the other big projects that are there, I think there's still value. And now, given that you still have to pay no matter what.
Right. Yeah, go ahead.
And also to point out that there obviously would be opportunity under this to, if we do attend, there's still 5 other major priorities, as Brenda mentioned, that we're discussing, including the Shaw 99 interchange build grant. 4 of the 5 are build applications that we're seeking support for. Shaw 99 from the city of Fresno. We've got 2 from the county of Fresno, and then the one from Fresno COG, the Cedar North and American Avenue interchanges, what we call the South Fresno interchange and 99 corridor. In addition to the surface bill reauthorization, to paint a clearer picture, if it's helpful, to paint a clearer picture of what has happened and what, is going on right now, what we can expect going forward. We do have our consultant, Jen Covino, is on the line, Madam Chair, if you would like to hear from her. Jen, are you there?
Hey, good evening, everyone, and my apologies for the circumstances under which we're operating right now. Robert and I were chatting earlier today, and I'll just share in typical years, I'll use last year as the example. My birthday, which is Congressman David Valadeo's birthday, April 14th, which is why I remember it well, was the day that the portals have actually opened in past cycles. And members last year held those portals open from April 14th to May 23rd, with June 2nd being the date they had to publish their project selections online. So we're really ahead of schedule this year. And a bit surprised only because if you've been paying attention to the news, we're actually operating under a partial government shutdown right now. Not a lot of people are aware of that quite yet because TSA, Transportation Security Administration workers, have not yet lost their first paycheck during this shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security. And so, of the 12 different spending bills that keep the federal government fully funded and operational, we still have one spending bill unresolved for federal fiscal year 2026, which we're currently halfway through. That being said, traditionally, the appropriations committees have waited for there to be a resolution across all dozen spending bills before they turn the page to the next year's appropriations. If you can imagine, and I'm not sure if any of you are in this situation in your jurisdiction's individual capacity as a city or as the county, but anyone who had a pending earmark under the Homeland Security spending bill under accounts that were open with FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, you still don't know whether or not you're getting that earmark for the current fiscal year we're in or not, which means there's a lot of uncertainty for any jurisdiction. And I believe that there are actually nearly $300 million worth of projects in that Homeland Security spending bill where project sponsors have yet to come to a resolution. So this is pretty atypical that they've decided to move on to our federal fiscal year 2027 as early as they have. The committee guidance came out yesterday morning and gave March 6th, which is next Friday, as the first member deadline for several spending bills. March 13th is the later internal submission deadline for members of Congress, including for the transportation and housing and urban development spending bills. So a lot of members were caught off guard. Some of them actually had to push up their earmark deadline. So for those of you who have been paying attention to your individual members' earmark deadlines, please be sure to check in with them. If you had been in consultation with them ahead of yesterday, things have changed in the past 24 hours where people are needing to push up their timelines. All of this being said, I did just want to give some historic context. Earmarks only came back at this point 4 years ago. Federal fiscal year 2022 was the first year that they were reinstated after a decade-long moratorium. And the COGs come on the One Voice trip throughout the years advocating for different things like competitive grant applications. For this year, you have several of them pending review over at the Department of Transportation. And every 5 years, we get the remarkable opportunity to actually weigh in on the surface transportation reauthorization, which is a 5-year piece of legislation that governs the federal policy, programs, and funding for everything from highways to transit to rail. This year in particular, the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, otherwise known as the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, is set to expire at the end of this September of federal fiscal year 2026. All of the grant programs that you may have been applying for discretionary funds or the formula dollars that the MPO and the county and the cities rely on, those are all subject to reauthorization through this process. And so right now it is a great time to be having very policy specific discussions. I will tell you the COG itself has done a great job outlining some policy priorities for lawmakers to consider. And generally, there is a concerted effort happening right now back here in Washington, D.C., by the local government coalition known as the LOT Coalition of local officials in transportation. That includes National Association of Regional Councils, National Association of Counties, U.S. Conference of Mayors, National League of Cities. They are all working hard in tandem to push more of the formula dollars that go through your state Department of Transportation. That's Caltrans. Ensuring those dollars get mandated to be pushed down to the local level. So there's a sincere effort to put more resources in your pocket, looking at the formula funds we already have. And it's great to actually hear directly from local officials on that and how meaningful it could be. So again, no shortage of issues to discuss back here in Washington, D.C., besides your community project funding or congressionally directed spending request. But I do want to apologize about the sequencing of the appropriations process this year, catching us off guard with the timing. And again, we welcome your guidance on next steps. I do want to make sure that for any of you who will be applying over the immediate week ahead, that you are prepared to do so. And if you need any guidance on that submission process, please don't hesitate to reach out to us directly in these immediate days ahead. So with that, happy to take any questions you might have about the federal agenda, but we're certainly ready and prepared to put together a worthwhile agenda where we're seeing partners at federal agencies as well as on Capitol Hill. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Jen. Yeah, so with specific regard to what we call the CDSs or the earmarks, there would be the opportunity, to inquire about, for example, the status of them, because we may not know immediately from the Appropriations Committee which ones made the grade, so to speak. And there would also be opportunity to, the FaceTime to inquire if one did not make it, for example, why not? What could be tweaked to make it better, that kind of thing. But the important thing, as Jen was saying, was regardless of the disposition of our trip tonight, that for those of you who are planning on submitting the earmark request, that you note the deadline shift, because it is highly significant. I mean, anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks off of the normal timeline. And so this trip was originally planned around those portals, either opening shortly or being open during the period. That's why we set the dates we set originally. And so this caught everybody off guard. But it's important to understand that it created kind of a cascading effect, requiring the congressional districts to also push up their deadlines. So you have a week for the priorities here, and if there are others under other spending bills, those deadlines might be shifted slightly. But for the what we call the THUD bills, the Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development, you have 1 week to get these into the portal. So at the very least, please be advised of that. We just want to make sure you're aware of that. And happy to answer any questions. Thank you again, Jen.
Yeah, and Robert, just one point of clarification because every member's individual deadlines vary a little bit. I did want to flag Congressman Costa actually has a slightly earlier deadline. March 4th is going to be his deadline. That is Wednesday
Yeah.
of next week.
Yeah, that came, that's right.
And really quickly, just to hit on those of you who may have some other members, Congressman Valadeo is going to be Monday, March 9th. Congressman Fong, we're awaiting an update on pushing up that deadline. And then just shifting gears to the Senate, March 6th for Senator Schiff, March 13th for Senator Padilla. So just want to be clear, we're saying a week, but really in some cases we're down to 6 days, maybe 5 days at this point for Costa. So please be sure to reach out if you have any questions and make sure you're not looking at their original emails because they had later deadlines themselves originally. Thanks.
I just have some.
Okay, go ahead, Bob.
Okay, I just have some comments. Brenda, I think you've been doing this for a very long time, and I think we don't help you much because we are sometimes not on top of it. I think this is an opportunity for this body to really engage our community and not rely solely on the appropriations process, but how do we engage education, ag, healthcare, even endangered species, whatever it is, and go, what do we in Fresno want to also go talk to our electeds on instead of just, here's our projects, oh, deadline, get it in, hopefully you fund it. That's nice and good, but how do we then start to create that conversation, take the lead, and if you need more staff, let's empower you with more staff so we can engage the entire county and go, what are those priorities? Because if these other entities come along, say healthcare, community can come in and be a big champion and go, hey, reimbursements are terrible. How do we get more reimbursements, or environmental and farm? These are the water issues. I remember water being a big issue, several other trips, but how do we make it so that way it is there? And how do you educate us so that way we know, hey, they're funding only in these certain departments. And so how do we engage they're only doing transportation. Oh, no health and human services this year. So that way we can be empowered with the knowledge, so that way we know, because I look at this before I came on this board, there were several years where they didn't do any more health and human services. So that means hospitals were out. And so, okay, so now we don't even apply. So how do we do that and then start the process with the community and us at the lead? Because I think we can take the lead and bring the entire community forward to DC. So it's a contingency of all these nonprofits and community leaders along with us. Because if it's just only this list, I will be very straightforward. If Clovis is not on here, there's no point in me spending money from my budget to help all of you. But if it's hey, this is going to help the county, we're going to go advocate for more water. We're going to go advocate for CEQA and NEPA and all that kind of stuff to help it so we can build quicker. And then there's a lot of interest on our end as electeds and also community groups. The building industry can all join. So that's my thought about the entire process, if we can do that. And so that's not a knock on you, Brenda, because I think you've been doing an excellent job, and depending on what's on your plate already, it's already difficult enough. And
But I
so-
can explain a little, if you don't mind me taking
Yes,
that.
yeah.
So before COVID, I don't remember how many years, the board decided that they would hone the list of priorities down to only those things that are transportation related. We've been doing this for 20 years, and I've been working on it from the beginning. And in the beginning, for many years, we had law enforcement, we had health, we had many, until one year we had 22 priorities. We all had to split up. It was crazy, but we got a lot done. We had a lot of teams. And I think the board maybe got a little overwhelmed. I'm not sure But the next year, they decided that they really wanted to bring that list down to 8.
I think it was when the year we went out there in 2016, when it was about the water. We were out there, advocating for the need of the water here with the drought and all that situation. I think you were out there too at the time, right? Wasn't it, Ray?
Oh, 2016, no. 2017, yes.
Okay, maybe it was 2017, but I just remember us being out there, and that after that happened, then the following year, that's when the actual priorities got reduced. I remember that.
So now everything must have a transportation nexus, and that was the board's direction. But if the board wants to change that, then we will
We can
follow
change it.
suit. We will, for next year, we will make a change.
I'd like to also say that I echo what Mayor Clovis says, and I've always thought this, that this is not only, this isn't only transportation. I know that the idea overall is, because this is what we do most of the time, but a lot of us are spending our own money to get there, and so a lot of cities are, and I think we could probably get a lot more folks to be involved if we had some broader topics that impact us as a valley or as a county, and I would be open to that for sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
If I may add, I think transportation is what connects everything. Because there's transportation for health. There's transportation for safety, right? It's just a matter on how we, I guess, perceive it, right? But transportation is in everything we do, no matter what, goods movement, everything, right? And just, I remember when we went out there with the 45th administration, we had an awesome agenda. We were extremely productive. We're all engaging. We had a great strategy with three priority or three levels of priorities, and it was very well organized. I know that's when I was fighting for you guys were supporting me, fighting for the 269 bridge. But it was productive for us. But I think in terms of 269 bridge, I can't recall what got funded from that trip. You guys could remind me later, but it wasn't the bridge. Even though at the environmental quality and infrastructure committee meeting we had with the director, he was just taken back with a story on how people died because there was no bridge on 269. And he stated, "Oh, well, give me your contact information so I could follow up. That'll make a great case study." And I was thinking, all right, if it gets funded, that'd be awesome. Because, when I was fighting for that project in 2004, 2005, right, Measure C, we put in 13 million out of the county. And so the assumption was another third was going to come from the feds, another third from the state. Well, nothing ever came from the feds. The only good thing that came out of, well, at least for Huron directly, the good thing that came out of that one was that the reporter captured the story on our bridge and just the disaster that took place, and it was on the paper. And some member at Ambula stepped up. He was on the fence for SB1, and he told them he'd support it if they funded the rest of the bridge, 18 million, which they did. So that's a good thing that came out of it.
Directly, it did help you.
Yeah, very indirectly, but the state stepped up, is what I gotta say. It was the state and the county that made it happen. So, I don't know how much support we'll get. I mean, maybe you guys have a better strategy at really, pinging the 47th administration in a way where they will actually invest in Fresno County. But yeah, I don't think we got the money to go out there this time around for Huron when we don't have an actual.
And I think the
rooster in the
decision
fight.
of a city not going is a local decision, and it's totally respected, right? If you feel that that's why it's giving an opportunity to everybody who's going, whoever is going and whoever is not. I'm not going. My city's not going, and it's a local decision whether to go or not. But as JPA here, as Fresno Council of Governments, I think you're already spending the money.
I think we still need to focus on the projects that are on that list that are not earmarks, because you still want to go out there and make sure that we show that we're all supporting that project as mayors. I think that's what helps get these projects funded too.
It is definitely a sales job, with going over there. And I think, going with the expectation of getting funded the first time right away, that's, it's, if it's considered, then yeah, right?
Yeah, a question about, you said there's $26,000 on the line. So how many rooms were reserved?
20.
And so what, I mean, tell me the process. How was that decided on 20 rooms?
Based on past years, and
What?
past years.
Okay.
Attendance, and then the attrition rate. So if there's what you call it? There's if you cancel this many days out, then you only have to guarantee 14 rooms. If you cancel this many days out, you have to guarantee 17 rooms. I don't know what that's called, but it's the attrition rate. I negotiated 85%. So it's actually 17 rooms that we'd be on the hook for. That's the 26.5. I know it's over 26, but and that was all calculated out. We knew that was on the line before we booked this, but we've never had this problem before where the deadlines just cut off 8 priorities. And so that's where, a lot of that fee would come from. If we still went, then we would still be on the hook for staff rooms, for the chair room. But then we would have other people attending. There's other people who have signed up. I do have to talk to some of them. There's people who go who aren't affiliated with any city. They just want to support. The Carpenters Union right now is a sponsor. I don't know if they'll want to stay on. Probably. I have to talk to them tomorrow, depending on your decision. And we have some others. There's others in the past, though, that have come. We had the sheriff come. We've done even like customs dog training as a priority. So talking about, a wider swath of different types of projects. It was more, and that's how Fresno One Voice started, was what are our needs and how can we come together as one community representing regional needs across the board, not just
The
transportation.
thing I'm wondering though is when you reserve 20 rooms, is that based on 20 people that have said they're coming, or it's what you're anticipating?
It's the block we had to book.
You had to block 20
Uh-huh.
to get a discounted rate.
Right. Well, we set the block, but based upon past experience, that has not been a problem. So we would have
But
had
has
to
not
take
been a problem
17
filling the rooms?
Filling the rooms. Mhm.
And the rooms are filled with people that are from COG
Mm-hmm.
or?
A note from anyone who wanted to go to be a part of the delegation. So it could be project proponents, it could be your staff, it could be you, it could be like the Carpenters
We
Union.
had county staff go too as well before.
Mhm.
And I think the reason why, and Janice wants to say something too, it's because of what happened with the portal, where we don't have enough time to submit everything and then being that it's closing before we even get there. That's the problem. It's not because we don't have people that don't want to go. They just, some don't want to now because of the
Because of the timeline.
Yeah.
Right. Had it not been for this, we would have met the
Right.
threshold.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get
Yeah.
at. Okay.
And
thanks.
Jen is on the call and she wants to
So we
say
can't
something.
add items on any longer?
Jen?
Yeah, one quick point to mention here, because I know we tend to think of things in silos. I think of individual projects for cities, for the county, for the MPO itself. One thing I did want to just flag for your awareness in terms of benefit for you all individually. Right now, there is a very concerted effort happening back here in Washington, D.C. to really rethink infrastructure funding and direct more down to the local level. Just to flag, cities and counties own 75% of overall road miles in America, and they account for 43% of the federal highway system. And yet you all are only receiving collectively 16% of all federal aid off the Highway Trust Fund. So there's an effort going on right now to increase that share to at least 25%, if not something more fair than that, in the next surface transportation. And when we're talking about that, we're talking about formula funds that average per year around $60 billion a year of highway trust funds going into communities around the country. So I will just say, in terms of what's at stake, we're talking about, some incremental progress that can be realized in earnest here on your formula shares of funds that come from the federal government down to the state of California, and then there would be a mandatory sub-allocation down to you all at the local level available to cities, counties, and to Fresno COG in and of itself. So just saying there's a really significant and meaningful conversation going on that would give you all more resources on an ongoing basis here over the next half decade. Although I do totally understand it's different than coming and asking for a specific capital investment with a competitive grant application or an earmark request in hand. But just wanted to make you aware of that conversation that's ongoing back here.
And the points that Jen is making are included in the priorities that Fresno COG prepared on this issue for the surface reauthorization bill. So we're making these arguments, as our voice in the choir, or adding our voice in the choir for this as well.
Brandon?
Yeah, I think for Brenda. So if we don't send anybody, we're out $20,000.
26, 27.
6,000.
Mhm.
That's the
What's the total cost for sending everybody? If we fully fund it, what's our total travel bill? Because is it that we're going to lose $26,000, or if we send everybody, we're talking $50,000? We're all talking about what we're going to save, but if there's an extra cost beyond that $26,000, that's the number that I'm trying to find. I struggled with this last time. I think I was the only no vote on the trip, and it was because of the cost ratio. That's what I'm trying to figure out. What's this total cost going to cost this
If you don't
governing
go,
body
sponsors don't sponsor, right?
Maybe 20,000.
in addition to the 26,000?
No, instead of the 26,000, we'd be at about 20, I think, what I know, I'm thinking of airfare. I know what we paid for airfare,
Spend less.
food.
Meals, yeah.
Yeah, adding all of that, the hotel rooms, what that cost, and then subtracting the $4,000 sponsorship, which, we would not have. I figured it would be 24, 25 minus the 4,000, so 2021.
So $20,000 to $21,000 would be our total cost if we went, and it's $26,000 if we do not go. Are those accurate statements?
That's as accurate as I can estimate at this time, yeah.
No brainer.
That's all. Thank you, Brent.
But if we went, that means everybody went.
No, if
No,
we went, that's with a smaller contingent. That's true.
Because we each pay what, 3,000, right? Like if I decide to go, I gotta put in 3,000, covers flight, the hotel. Not sure if it covers 100% of it.
Not
but
knowing who still wants to go and how many rooms, that would, I think if we canceled right now, I think we'd have to pay for 14 rooms. Is that what I said this morning?
Wow.
14 rooms.
Because the other 3 are staff.
No, they
That's
reserve
part of
the
the
rooms for
14.
everybody,
Mhm.
and you guys later on pay for the room, right? Isn't that how
No,
the
but
city does it?
Originally, she
How
said
does it work?
17.
Well, it's 17 rooms that we're on the hook for if we go all the way through. It's 14 rooms, which is the 26 something. If we cancel now.
Go ahead.
Okay.
And then you,
No, I
I
was,
think,
sec-
wait, no, oh, yeah, you were.
All right, thank you.
And then it'll be a fireball and then.
Okay, thank you. So, all right, I got a fabulous idea. Looking at Gary, it came to me. So, all right, there's one thing that we have noticed that there's been a gap. Because historically, the citizens of the county have paid for it, have subsidized it. That's 80% of the rural roads. And we know that there's a fact that 80% of the rural roads, the damage, 80% damage to the rural roads is due to industry. And we have a president that loves subsidizing industry, millionaires, billionaires, and trillionaires. So maybe that's one that we could take to them so that they could cover the next 3 years of the damage to rural roads. They subsidize industry under the argument of economic development. And for 3 years, and then we set a precedence, and then we just keep getting that money from them. How's that for an idea?
Fireball's next.
Nathan's all excited over there. Look at him.
So my question is that all the projects in the pink, we'll already know before we even attend over there if they're earmarked or they're getting funded. Is that accurate?
They may not have published that list yet, but they do have to be submitted
Right.
for appropriations, but
Yeah,
we could
we may-
ask while we're there.
Yeah.
Right.
You can get
That's
update.
correct.
Sometimes it takes a while to get that list published.
To get actually published, but they would have had to have been submitted before we get there.
Correct.
Yes.
So if the city of Fireball decided to attend, ultimately we would be going to discuss the trips that are not in the pink.
Right.
Yeah,
guys
you,
can
you
choose.
would be able to inquire certainly about the status of, your request. You could inquire perhaps, in terms of getting FaceTime about the potential for, other requests, going forward, or, why, if you're, for example, if your request was not, forwarded, why not? So, points to refine it, that kind of thing. So there would be that opportunity, but generally, yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think the conversation is, shouldn't be on what the cost is, whether we go or don't go, how much the hotel or motel. The real conversation is there a benefit to a group of people from Fresno County going to Washington DC? If so, what is that benefit? And if there is a benefit, who's going to go?
Yeah.
And I think we can wrap it up and not talk about 20 grand or 14 rooms. It's whether or not, because, I just got back from DC a few weeks ago. And was there a benefit in going? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, Jen Cavino, who's the best of the best, she's also our consultant as well, lobbyist. So I think that's the real question. Is there a benefit? Jen will be able to tell us, I think, more than anything. If so, who's going to go?
Yeah, and you're right. It's every year that we've gone, well, except for after COVID, we didn't go for some time. But it's always been beneficial to bring these projects in, and it gives them an idea. We explain more thoroughly of what the project's about, rather than just looking at a grant application and trying to decide whether they're going to fund it or not. It's always, and I've been told that before by them, that it's always better for us to be there to speak on the project versus them just looking at thousands and thousands of applications. So, yeah, that's just.
May be able to point you in a different direction. It's not the only, earmarks aren't the only thing that's available.
Absolutely. 100, yeah.
There's constant turnover.
Yeah.
Now, in staff, and so, there's some people that just got appointed.
Yeah.
Positions.
There is real value in going.
Right.
Maybe,
So with that, I think,
maybe
so it's an action item.
One
So
way.
if there's a motion to, what's the motion? What's the action item?
Would
To
be to-
approve what was that? To approve the trip for the DC trip
With the 5 priorities that
with the
remain.
5 priorities set. So if we have a motion,
I'd like to make a motion to include rural roads, county rural roads.
okay.
There's a number of things in this reauthorization priority, addressing rural roads, addressing trucks on rural roads.
So there you go.
Funding for the coverage of the damage that
Mhm.
those trucks are.
Yes, there's a farm to market, a request for a farm to market funding source.
Okay.
There's a number
For how
of
many
things in
years?
this that affect everyone.
For how many years, Brenda?
On the farm to market roads piece, it would actually create a permanent set aside from a formula program that would dedicate that set aside to roads within certain counties that, if you can imagine, your congressional delegation helped come up with this legislation. Congressman Valadeo was the lead sponsor of it. And so basically only the top 10 producing ag counties in America would qualify for it. You all will be up there at that top of that
We're number
list.
one. We're number one of those 10. That's for sure.
Correct. So, you would have basically a decent portion of set aside formula funding on an ongoing basis through the next reauthorization, at least 5 years.
Nice. Awesome.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right.
Thank you,
My
Jen.
job's done.
We have a we have a motion.
And that is our number one priority, by the way. The reauthorization principles would be the number one priority when we're in DC.
Awesome.
So we have the motion on the floor, and so we have a second. Do you have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Jen. Good night.
Jen. Good
I know
to
it's
hear
late.
you.
Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for your patience.
Thank you.
Thank you
For
for
it's
staying up
late.
so late.
I don't know what time it is over there.
11:41.
Okay, now next one is for Fresno COG General Counsel presentation, which is Robert. But before Robert gets started, did you want to make?
Yes, yeah, especially in connection with this item. I sent an email around a few weeks ago, but I wanted to ensure everybody got the message. The legal question from the Board of Supervisors that gave rise to the potential conflict for our office has been sent to outside counsel. The Kaufman Legal Group, they have not represented the county or any city in the county, and they will report directly to the Board of Supervisors without involvement of our office. So we believe that conflict has been eliminated on that issue.
Okay, excuse me.
So what is the item? I missed.
No, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. Let me go ahead and deliver the staff report. Yeah, I was waiting for Doug to finish there. Okay, so this item is carried over from last month. As we mentioned before, the Joint Powers Agreement and bylaws, Fresno COG's joint JPA and bylaws state that the Fresno County Council's office shall provide all legal services to Fresno COG, the board and any committees as specified, except that the council may retain independent legal counsel when it deems appropriate. Now, there had been calls at the Board of Supervisors meeting, as Mr. Sloan mentioned, for an investigation into the 2026 Measure C expenditure plan and development, and after which several members of the policy board requested that Fresno COG consider using private outside attorneys for future legal services, at least for some period of time, given actual or perceived and potential conflicts with the county counsel's office as an agent of the county of Fresno. We addressed this last month, but did not have a resolution to it. If you'll recall, the disposition at the time was that I would use my executive authority as the board has granted for contracts of less than $10,000, which I did to retain the law firm of Richards, Watson, and Gershon, or RWG. The agreement is attached to the staff report. They do represent multiple cities in Southern California, including Beverly Hills, Moore Park, South Pasadena, and Temecula. But they also have Northern California clients, including Davis, Millbrae, and San Bruno, and an office in Sacramento. And they also have extensive experience in campaign finance and election processes. So tonight we do have Attorney Nicholas Gorelli with us to address questions that are specifically related to Measure C. So it's important to understand at this time, the contract is limited in scope to only Measure C related issues, but that potentially could change depending on the outcome of this item. So while the county counsel services have historically been less expensive than private sector attorneys, there have been many occasions, most of which in my experience have been associated with Measure C, where the office has been forced to recuse itself or to recommend private attorneys who specialize in particular legal matters, such as this one. For the Measure C investigation, as Mr. Sloan mentioned, County Counsel has retained the Kaufman Legal Group to address this question, and that firm will report directly to the Board of Supervisors, bypassing the County Counsel's office. So should the policy board choose to contract with a private firm for future legal services, we're talking about general counsel legal services at this point, county counsel, COG staff could either sole source a contract depending on the issue's urgency, or conduct a request for qualifications and or proposals, solicit a scoring committee and go through that process, run it through the policy advisory committee, and return with a recommendation. However, prior to that, we would need to amend our joint powers authority, and that comes as the understanding of that has been verified by two separate legal opinions. And so the process for amending the JPA would mean going out to each city council with a vote that has to reflect what the process at this board looks like. Basically a majority of at least 9 jurisdictions representing a minimum of 40% of the population. So the question tonight, we already have independent counsel on retainer here, or not retainer, but under contract for the time being that we anticipate would last during the course of the Measure C investigation as the county has outlined it. However, the question before you has to do more with replacing county counsel as the general legal counsel. And so that is, a broader question, obviously, that would have to be addressed through amending the JPA and then presumably through an RFP or a determination of a sole source contract. And happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, what brought this issue up, and rightfully so, I believe, is the fact that there's been a lot of controversy on the COG this last year as a result of the C renewal process. Prior to that, this body had been pretty unified on issues. And so I think that's what really got us to this point. The second thing was, I believe there was some advice that had been given here recently at the COG from County Council, not Doug Sloan, but somebody in the office. And then Doug had to intervene and overrule or at least say that opinion wasn't accurate. And I know that happens from time to time. Attorneys differ on opinions. But what it did was set the stage for a question as to whether or not county council could actually be objective on this body because of the interest, and do they, is county council going to be beholden to the Board of Supervisors more than this board? And so I said that to say this, and the fact that in the city of Fresno, the strong mayor form of government, we have a city attorney that is appointed by the council, but that city attorney also represents the mayor. And there's always been somewhat of a question in terms of, is the city attorney giving the mayor's office good advice, or is it, kind of swayed towards the city council because they're the ones that appoint? So I said all that to say this, that Doug Sloan worked as the city attorney for many, many years. And during my time as the mayor, I never found Doug to be anything but objective and to be fair. Supervisor Bredefield was there as well at that time. And so for me, I know we're not going to find anyone probably as competent as Doug, based on my dealings with him. But I do believe there was a legitimate concern raised by everyone, and I supported that concern. I want everybody to know that. But I would say if Doug is going to be the one that sits on this body, I have a complete confidence in him to do that objectively and fairly and to give us good advice. That's not to say he's going to be right 100% of the time, but I do believe it'll be based on his best opinion. And I would just like to, I guess, table the other discussion or kill the other item, even though I did support it initially. And I think we should retain county council for this board.
I understood after like our debate last month, I feel like we debated a lot of this already. I thought I was expecting tonight to come in as what happened last month as a kind of a temporary, using your executive director authority, as you mentioned, I think up to $10,000 to bring in kind of like an on-call if and when, right? That's what I expected. I think what I heard you talking about though is considering what we more or less debated a lot last month and changing council altogether. Is that relatively accurate?
That was a possibility, yes.
Okay. All right. Then I'll echo a lot of what Jerry just said. Is I have a lot of confidence, like I said last month, in Doug Sloan and his office's ability to weigh and use his judgment when he needs to, as far as recusing himself. And again, I'll go back to what I expected to hear tonight was kind of having this RWG, whatever it was, sorry, have him as kind of like an on-call and voting on that. That's what I could support tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. I also want to echo what the mayor said, Mayor Dyer said. Doug Sloan is, one of the most competent attorneys that I've run across, and we run across a lot of attorneys at the city and at the county. And I also know him to be a person of integrity. I understand the concern about the Measure C issue, and I think what you're proposing is plausible, that when Measure C issues come up, the Doug Sloan, the county council, will not oversee that discussion. It will be an outside independent person until whatever investigation is concluded. I certainly support that. It makes sense. That's logical. Other than that, I think we ought to continue to retain county council. He will give us his best opinion representing this board. I'm sure it's not going to be representing the county of Fresno, but this board. That's his job, and he will do his job. So I have confidence in moving forward there, and just having outside counsel deal with the Measure C issues until that investigation is concluded.
Yeah, I think, I echo Mayor Dyer's, feelings there. And at some point, I felt personally losing some confidence on council, with other people in that office. But in seeing right now how he's, performing and the advice given, I feel confident that we can continue unify and support that decision.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that this discussion should not revolve around individuals.
Oh.
So I think the legal question is, does this body feel like council representing two bodies will create a conflict or not?
Mhm.
And I think I wanted to hear why it is not before I can support moving to getting new counsel. Because whether it's Attorney Sloan or God sitting there, it shouldn't matter. It's just, do we go with God's firm or do we go with another firm? And that's the real issue, because if we put the individual in it, it seems that we're talking about them and it's not about them.
No.
So I would like to hear if this is brought up, or even if RWG has Mr. Girelli, if you have an opinion, does it create a conflict for this body if the same council is representing
Yeah.
the counties, that body, and this body right here? If it doesn't, then okay, I don't see, that's the legal question, which I think past practice goes, there's no issue, but what does the legal opinion say about that? That's my question. And if it doesn't, then I support what Mayor Dyer and Supervisor Butterfield and everybody else has said. So
Yeah, go ahead.
And I'd kind of like if we look at this, I would say 99% of the time that we are utilizing county council, there's not a discrepancy or a conflict. And I think that just the times that there may be even a perception of conflict, that's the time that we could utilize an outside counsel. But I think for most of the time, we've had, this board has worked very smoothly with the county council. And I don't see that it's been an issue. I just see that during those one or two times that we have that we could make a decision on those examples. But I do echo what everyone else is saying as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the very important distinction that happened between last meeting that we were meeting here and today is that, given the direction of county council on the investigation, they are not doing that anymore.
Right.
So that's a big change so there's outside counsel doing that.
Yeah, and I think that was the
That
purpose.
really makes a difference.
That was the reason behind even going to this, seeking an outside counsel. Go ahead.
And as you mentioned, going forward, if there does become a situation where it appears to be adversarial between the county and this board, then we would look at getting outside counsel involved also.
And we have, what's the council?
Comment?
There's a
Madam Chair?
council,
We do have Mr. Grelli online. If you would like to speak to him, he is available. Again, his services, to Mayor Tuttle's point, his services with regard to this contract are limited to Measure C, but he is aware of this item. And so he may be able to answer Mayor Moanatua's question. If you would like to speak with him, Mr. Grelli, are you available?
Sure, I'd be happy to weigh in on that briefly. I can say that I'm a city attorney for 3 different cities. In my capacity as city attorney, I also represent as general counsel a joint powers authority in a couple of cases for a member that's actually on the joint powers authority. So I don't think it creates an actual conflict of interest simply because an attorney is representing a member. There are situations where it's possible that an actual conflict could arise. For example, if the Joint Powers Authority is negotiating a contract directly with one of its members, in that case, the attorney couldn't represent both the JPA and the member agency, and in that case, one would have to get outside counsel. So it's possible that that could come up, but just as an overall matter, it's not a conflict of interest to have an attorney who represents both the Joint Powers Authority and one of its members.
Thank you, Mr. Guerrero.
All right. Is there any other?
If it would be something that makes sense to the colleagues, what if Mr. Sloan were to write a letter just stating that if there's negotiations regarding Measure C in the firm and they try to pull him in, that he negate such a move by the firm, and just that we could feel comfortable that, there isn't, cross-pollination or any even perceived actions of conflict that would raise concern with us.
Well, I think we could provide a memo to this board saying if there appears to be any adversarial relationship as to any particular item, we would look at getting outside counsel involved at one end or the other, or possibly both.
That'd be good. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Do we need a motion or just,
I don't think we need to do anything with that.
okay, no action?
No, because we're not.
No action. So
Move on.
what would happen next is effectively that the point at which the county investigation is concluded, if there are no matters of import to this board, then RWG would effectively be released. We anticipate that the contract under which they're operating right now will easily last until the end of March, which is when we understand by that time the county should be, completed with its work. And so we don't anticipate any other action being necessary at this time.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Gorelli.
All right, thank you. Now I have another item. It's the transportation action and discussion plan. That's item 2. It's back in the front of in the beginning. We have to go back. Item number 2. And that is Paul. There you are.
Thank you, Chair, members of the board. So today I'll be talking about the draft overall work program and budget for fiscal year 26-27. So this year we are having a budget totaling $17.8 million that is submitted to this board and for public review. A summary memo is attached to your agenda for your review. The proposed budget decreased $20.5 million from last year's budget. This decrease is mainly attributable to the completion of a one-time large grant that I'll speak on in just a minute. Operational revenues remain intact, reserves are adequate, and the agency continues to operate within the bounds of prudent management. The largest part of the decrease is a $13.2 million line item that is attributable to the anticipation of project completion from the Regional Early Action Planning Grant Program, or REAP 2.0, which funds that are provided by the California Department of Housing and Community Development. A $2 million decrease from an FHWA PL revenue is reflective of the progress completed on the Regional Pavement Management System update, and other significant decreases of $1.4 million from the purchase of vehicles under the FTA 5310 program, and $1.1 million from a decrease of work completed under the FHWA RIA grant tied to the Tradeport California project. For federal revenues, there's a decrease of 30% or $3.1 million, reflective of the grant tied to pavement management and the Tradeport and vehicle procurements. State revenues decreased 81% or $13.5 million to the REAP grant, and local revenues decreased 35% or $3.9 million, resulting from a cash match from the transit vehicle purchase procurement. Staff salaries and benefits decreased 4% and 1% respectively, as staffing levels remained unchanged from last year. And let's see, contingency are carried forward for merit-based salary increases as well as for anticipated health insurance increases. The OWP and budget will return in final form in April. The action requested tonight is staff and TTC PAC recommend the policy board release Fresno COG's draft 2026-27 overall work program and budget for public review, with final approval scheduled for your April board meeting. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Any?
Yep.
Any from the public? Okay, hearing none. So do we have a motion to approve? Motion from Reedley, second from Huron. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. I think that's it. Is that the?
Now we're cooking with gas.
I think that's it, right? Where are we at now? We'll have to go back to the other page. We're at page 12 now? Okay. Okay, now we're back to item B. And that is on the other page. That's D. That's not B. Okay, here it is. All right, so that's FTA section 5310, recommended projects and funding approval, and that's Matthew.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening, members of the board. Fresno COG is the designated recipient of Federal Transit Administration Section 5310 funds for Fresno County. This program supports transportation services for seniors and individuals with disabilities, particularly where traditional public transit does not fully meet their needs. Funding may be used for accessible vehicle purchases and operating assistance. So earlier this year, the 5310 scoring committee convened to evaluate 6 project applicants ranging from FACS, Clovis Transit, Fresno EOC, WestCare, and UCPCC, with a funding request of $3.1 million. However, there was a total available apportionment of $1.7 million, so about half of the request. Out of the 6 applications, 3 were selected for full funding and 2 were selected for partial funding, as it's shown in my spreadsheet. And this is an action item. So Fresno COG staff, the Section 5310 scoring committee, the Social Services Transportation Advisory Committee, and TC and PAC recommend the policy board award the $1,741,617 in FTA Section 53 funding programs for the vehicle purchases and operating expenses as outlined in the attached spreadsheet. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
No question? Any? Any from the public? Hearing none, so do we have a motion to approve? Huron, do we have a second?
Second.
Fireball, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. All right. The next one is Regional Transportation Plan Sustainable Community Strategy Draft Scenario Selection Process, and that's Paul.
Sorry for the mouthful on that. I'll be running through some slides today. Oh, I don't know if they got included in this slide deck. Sorry, I just advanced and saw they weren't there. Well, we might be able to avoid a lot of my presentation. I'll give a general update of what we've got going on in terms of the RTP SCS. Santosh, we probably won't need you for this presentation. So right now we are in the midst of finalizing our final 5 scenarios in terms of a preferred scenario for the regional transportation plan. So we develop every 4 years the RTP, and then on the state side, it's the SCS. As part of that, we go out to all the jurisdictions and we ask for your projects. This cycle, we received over 2,800 projects from all of your jurisdictions. So thank your staff for putting all those projects in. It equaled over $9.9 billion of requests. Now we won't be having $9.9 billion of revenues between now and 2049. That's not anticipated. But we do believe we will have between $6 and $7 billion potentially available to us. And that is also contingent on the approval of the replacement to Measure C. So if that were not to pass, there would be significant revenues that would not be available, and a lot of the projects would not be funded. So I do want to make it clear that we did include a local revenue source for this round of the RTP. In the next cycle, if it does not pass, that funding would not be available to us, and a lot of the matching funds that come with having a local sales tax measure would also not be available. So this will be potentially the last cycle where we can show the revenues for the measure, and if they were not to continue, we would have to reevaluate, and it would have a significant impact on our local transportation network. There are 5 scenarios that have been developed, ranging from a focus on road capacity increasing projects to transit projects. But across all 5 scenarios, we really do emphasize road maintenance as the #1 priority, as we've heard through not only RTP outreach efforts, but efforts through the Measure C process as well. And so just city road maintenance, county road maintenance, just general road maintenance. Caltrans also significantly invest in their road maintenance. But that is still across all the scenarios. You'll see next month when we present this item to you, you'll see that every scenario invests heavily in road maintenance. But scenarios A and B are really road capacity increasing focused scenarios. Scenario C is our balanced approach, which invests nearly as much money into road capacity increasing projects as transit. And then scenarios D and E include more money for transit than for capacity increasing projects. Yep, it is up now. Okay, thank you for that. Can you put the mouse on the next slide or on the next screen? Okay. So I'll run through the key ones here just to show you kind of what we anticipated. So for federal funds, we believe that it'll be potentially possible to collect $1.9 billion in federal funds, depending on which scenario is selected. And then I'll quickly go through which. Okay, so we have the Active Transportation Program, the Build Grant, the CMAQ program. These are all programs that are either formula and competitive. On the competitive side, those are really not for sure that those could occur, but we include them because historically we have received grants from these competitive programs. But again, a local source of transportation funding is critical in order to get matching dollars for those programs. We also have included here on the federal funding, the SDBG, Infra, and the Highway Safety Improvement Program, as well as FTA formula dollars. On the state side, we anticipate there is a potential for $4.1 billion of available funding for Fresno County between now and 2049. And with that, we have our Transit Intercity Capital Program, the Interregional Transportation Improvement Program, the LPP, a local partnership program, which is only available to counties that have a local sales tax measure. So those would go away without a local sales tax measure. We have funding through SB 125 and as well as Solutions for Congestion Corridors, and the SHOP program, Caltrans's maintenance program, is included as well. State Transit Assistance and the State Transportation Improvement Program, as well as the Trade Corridor Enhancement Program. So just over $4 billion as a potential in terms of state funding for our region. And then for local funding, we do anticipate that a local sales tax measure, half-cent sales tax measure between now and 2049 would generate about $3.7 billion. And that we have 1 year included of the current measure because that does lapse in 2027. So you see that top line there is the last year of the current measure. And then if Measure C its replacement were to pass, there would be a potential approximately $3.7 billion until 2049. All right, I touched on the call for projects earlier. Over 2,800 projects were submitted by your jurisdictional staff. So again, thank you for that. You can see the numbers here, over 700 active transportation projects, over 295 road capacity increasing projects, over 1,100 maintenance projects, 461 operational projects, and 152 transit projects, totaling $9.9 billion in project requests. Yeah, this is all of Fresno County, and this is the breakdown by jurisdiction of those projects. So you can see how many were submitted by each agency and jurisdiction, as well as Caltrans. I'll give folks just a minute to take a look at this.
And the important component here is that in order for a project to qualify for federal funding, it has to be in the RTP.
Yes.
And so that's why you see the listing that you see.
Yeah, not all projects are included here that are potentially going to be built in your communities. These are ones that your staff has designated as potentially
requiring federal funding. Yeah.
I will make note that, yeah, you'll see Clovis has got quite a bit. I think it has a lot to do with, well, it has a lot to do with, as you go further out and you get into the 2040s, I think a lot of jurisdictional staff maybe aren't as comfortable in submitting. It's kind of more speculative, but I think Clovis, they like to include, even into the 2040s, they like to include all their road maintenance projects. So yeah, this is kind of a revolving, this is a revolving program. Every 4 years this gets updated. So this fluctuates. Okay. I do want to highlight an online website, a tool for folks in the public to access the information that's included from the call for projects. So we've developed a map-based website. I want to thank my team here at COG for developing this in-house. It's a really great online tool to look up any of the projects that were submitted by the jurisdictions for the RTP. On this page, this is every single project that was included from the jurisdictions across all types. So transit, road capacity, maintenance projects, operational projects are all included on this map. Over 28 ATP project, active transportation projects, all were included here on this map. And this website, this is available at our planfresno.com website under the RTP roundtable page. So if you're interested in taking a look at this website, it's a great resource for those interested in taking a look at the projects. All right, now I'll go through the scenarios. I did slightly touch on them. Again, scenario A, this is our road capacity increasing scenario that focuses on those types of projects. Like, again, all the projects will have a road maintenance focus, but there are some emphasis on other items. Scenario B is our highest in terms of road maintenance. It dedicates the most amount of funding over the course of the 23-year period. Scenario C is our balanced approach. So about as much resource in the capacity increasing projects as transit projects in scenario C. Scenario D, you start to see more transit investments, including investments in the urban core of Fresno with the potential of a light rail project. And scenario E for a rural focused transportation improvement project, including the potential of activating existing railroads that are underutilized today for potential passenger service in the future. Scenarios D, similar to the Cross Valley Corridor, yes. Scenarios D and E also have, scenario E has a feasibility study underway. Scenario D as your next agenda item would have another feasibility study to help support that scenario. So there are still some questions left remaining to be answered. This is the kind of budget portfolio for each of the scenarios. You can see the orange bar in the middle is the maintenance budget, and that really remains high, around $3 billion across all scenarios. From scenario A on the road capacity increasing, $1.9 billion on that budget. For transit, 1.1. And then there's kind of an inverse correlation as you go from A to E, where in scenario E, it's an inverse where it's $1.1 billion in regional and road capacity increasing projects and over $2 billion in transit investment. So we wanted to try to cover a wide swath of potential scenarios for funding in the future in terms of the transportation network. And so we believe we have covered that between these 5 scenarios.
And in all cases, all active transportation projects are included.
Yeah, we did want to make sure that there are fewer active transportation projects, and so we believe we want to have a goal of investing in all of those that we receive. I think that is a goal we should all strive for, but obviously it just depends on the jurisdictions would need to get competitive with their grants and making sure they apply for active transportation dollars. But we received just about $800 million in active transportation projects, and so we show those all being funded in each of the scenarios. Here's the project count. So the blue bar you see here is the projects that would be funded by each scenario, and the orange bar is those projects that would go unfunded in each scenario. As you can see in the transit-focused scenarios, D and E, because of the high cost of those very few transit projects, there would be a reduction in the overall amount of projects, but all scenarios show over 2,000 projects funded out of the total 2,800. And now I'm going to hand it over to Principal Modeler Santos Bertrai to walk through the performance indicators.
Thank you, Paul. Good evening, everyone. So I'll provide a high-level overview of the indicators that we will be using for this SCS analysis. And we have a total of 12 indicators we will be using this cycle. The first 10 indicators are simply carried over from the last 2022 SCS. And we have added two brand new indicators on this list, making it a total of 12. Out of two new indicators, one was added by the Environmental Justice Subcommittee, and then the second one related to the critical environmental resources was added by the SCS Subcommittee. So I'll just go over a few critical indicators on this list. The first one is the public health. It measures the health benefits coming from the prevention of accidents or the collisions, along with preventing the disease like asthma and diabetes or any pollution-related disease, and also the benefits coming from the people walking and biking in the Fresno County region. So we'll see the total number of the life years saved in each of the scenarios, and we'll compare it to the last 2022 SCS scenario to see how these scenarios are performing against our last SCS scenario. Another critical indicator on this list would be the access to destination. It is simply the average trip time taken for the people to travel from their residence to the destination. The destination can be their work, shopping services, or any other entertainment-related trips. So it will give us the morning hour peak travel time that it takes for the people to travel from their residence to the destination. Simply defines the mobility of the overall Fresno County region. Next slide. Another next critical indicator on this list would be the agriculture land consumption. Being Fresno County as a prime agriculture region, we need to keep in mind that we have to save as much of the important farmland as possible. So we'll see how many acres of the farmland are projected to be converted into the new residential and the commercial development in each of the scenarios. Next slide, please. The next critical indicator on this list would be the quality roads. We'll measure the total lane miles of the road maintenance projects, as we saw in the previous slides. And that should be open to the traffic by 2035, because we are basing this SCS analysis on 2035 inconsistent with the CARB policy. That's why we'll consider all the road maintenance projects that can be the simply repair projects or repayment projects, scrapping and rebuilding it from the dirt, or otherwise maintained projects throughout the Fresno County. So we'll see how those projects are distributed and how many lane miles of those projects are in each of the scenarios. The next critical indicator would be the GHG reduction. Since we know that the SB 375's major or main goal is to reduce the greenhouse gas emission, we'll see how much carbon emissions due to the vehicular travel we can reduce in each of the scenarios. And CARB has given us the 13% target that we need to achieve in 2035 as compared to the 2005 level. So we'll see how those scenarios are doing and if those scenarios are meeting that 13% target. The brand new indicator that was added by the SCS subcommittee this cycle is the critical environmental resources. We have considered two major data set in this indicator. The first top screenshot is the federal data set, which is the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services data set. It defines the critical habitat and the wetland area. So if you see on that map, that is more concentrated around the water channels and the river streams. The second data set is the statewide data set, which is California Department of Fish and Wildlife data set. The below screenshot, it's more comprehensive. It covers more areas than the first one defined by the federal, and it also captures the biodiversity, habitat connectivity, and the climate resiliency things. So we will consider these two data set to come up with the environmental resources, critical environmental resources, and see how much of these resources we are consuming in each of those scenarios. Thank you, Paul. And I will be back next month with the details on all of these indicators and with the numbers for these indicators. But for today, that was the high-level overview. Back to Paul.
Thank you, Santosh. Just want to go through the next steps that we'll be going through before we bring it back here for your final approval of the preferred scenario. So each of the scenarios will be presented to the EJ subcommittee on March 5th. The scenarios will then also be approved and recommended. That was approved and recommended by the SCS subcommittee. We'll go to the roundtable, the RTP roundtable on March 11th. Once approved by the roundtable, that scenario will be presented to the TTC and PAC on March 13th. And then finally, it'll be brought back here to the policy board for action on the preferred scenario on March 26th. And for the final approval of the entire 2026 RTP SCS, we anticipate that will be occurring in August of 2026. So just to give you a heads up on the timing. We do have a public survey to get the public's input on the scenarios that we have developed. We opened it last week, and so we are asking for folks to go online. There's a QR code on the screen. It's also linked on our planfresno.com website. We're asking folks to please take this survey. The results of this survey will be presented to this body with the recommendations from your subcommittees as well. And these are just the online resources to find information about the SCS scenarios as well as the overall RTP process, planfresno.com and fresnocog.org. And with that, thank you for bearing with me on this one. I'm happy to take any of your questions.
Questions? Hearing none. Hi.
Question.
Yes.
So the data on the air quality and all the public health is in there?
Yeah, so that will be presented to you next month.
Okay, so it's not in there yet?
Yeah, they have been developed, but we're working through the subcommittees to get their input, and then that will all be presented to this body in March.
Because subcommittees and there's experts, public health experts, MDs maybe, and
get their feedback on all of what we presented tonight, and then we'll be bringing it back to this body as well.
All right, so I'll just wait. You don't have the data yet.
We do have model results, but we want to vet that through the subcommittees first and see if there's any issues. And then once that all is completed, we'll be bringing it back here.
Excellent. Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, any from the public? Okay, that was informational. We can jump to the next item, and that is the Fresno Metropolitan Light Rail Feasibility Study Consultant Selection. Paul.
Flip to that. Okay. So Fresno COG, in partnership with the City of Fresno, Fresno Area Express, received a Caltrans Sustainable Planning Grant for FY 25-26 to conduct the Fresno Metropolitan Light Rail Feasibility Study. The study will analyze the potential for a light rail system in the Fresno-Clovis metropolitan area, primarily connecting major activity centers and neighborhoods within the FCMA, such as well as looking at the future California high-speed rail station, the airport, colleges, universities, and K-12 schools, our commercial and retail corridors, our office and industrial districts, and also the airport. The study will include analysis of prior studies, the existing transit network, capital and operational cost estimates, as well as include a robust public engagement plan. In October of 2025, Fresno COG issued a request for proposals seeking consultants for this study. A scoring committee was formed to review and score the proposals. Staff received 4 proposals. The scoring committee, comprising of representatives of the city of Fresno, Fresno Area Express, and Fresno COG, selected AECOM as the highest scoring proposer. AECOM is a leading global infrastructure consulting firm that provides professional services for planning, design, engineering, and construction management for major transportation projects and programs. This study is expected to be concluded in January of 2028. And with that, staff, TTC, and PAC recommend the policy board authorize the executive director to enter into a contract with AECOM for the Fresno Metropolitan Light Rail feasibility study for $758,297. And I'm happy to take any of your questions. Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question. So who was on the selection committee?
The selection committee was comprised of myself, Joe Vargas from FACS, and Casey Lauderdale from the City of Fresno's Planning Department.
Okay. Just said a little bit of a concern with AECOM on what they did for us on the grade separation at Blackstone and McKinley.
Okay.
Significant concerns, quite frankly, in terms of their estimate of what the cost would be to complete that grade separation. And it caused us to have significant delay at this point in time. And so I do have a lot of concerns, as does my staff.
Okay.
Is it possible to do it for us to do it in-house?
I would say for a study of this magnitude, we would need some consultant support of some kind.
Mm-hmm. Was there any, yeah, how close was it between AECOM and number 2?
Yeah, all the proposals were of high quality, and frankly, I could recommend any of them. I think AECOM was the highest ranking proposer. But yeah, there were several other proposals of high quality that could be advanced.
What would be the process if we wanted to reject that and perhaps consider going to number 2?
I think we would. I think Robert, maybe you can touch on that.
Yeah, you can
Make a motion, Jerry.
Yeah, you have that option.
Yeah.
That is certainly
You
your
can
option.
go to number 2, or we can present to you all the proposals as well, and for you to evaluate. There may be, if we want to take a look at all the proposals, you may find issues with other ones. I think you may want to take a look at all of them before just going to number 2.
Yeah, could maybe if I could do that, since we initiated this at the City of Fresno, maybe if we could take a look at those.
Sure.
And then maybe come back next month with the selection.
Yep.
Yeah, so there could be a motion to table.
Yeah, so I'll make that motion to table.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
I also want to make sure that we have legal advice as how to pursue that. Yeah.
So it'd be a motion to table and look into whether the issue of whether this particular service provider is qualified in light of the other concerns.
Yeah, I would like time to go back to my staff, especially Public Works, and find out what all the details were regarding the grade separation, because there were significant concerns internally. And that was on the Public Works side. So the people involved in the selection here were on the fact side and planning and development side.
Yeah.
And did not include Public Works. So that's a concern for me.
Sure.
They may have been operating on insufficient information.
Understood.
So we have the motion is to table and a second.
And it's just,
Who was the first? Dyer? And, okay,
And
and
I
then
had some,
second from here on. All those in favor?
can I just get some questions before we vote? I support the motion, but I think that, I know it's a fax COG sort of grant.
Yep.
How is this one related to the one we approved? Because we were going to study the light rail on existing rails.
The regional rail. Yeah.
Yeah,
so-
regional rail.
Yeah.
Is there connection to that too? Or this is specifically just for the Fresno Clovis metro area?
Yeah, this is specifically for the Fresno Clovis metro area. The other prior study that's currently underway today is really for rural connectivity, rural transit services. And so that alignment's looking out to Reedley, all the way on the west side as well, out to Fireball and even down to Kingsburg. That's evaluating rural connectivity to Fresno. This would be focused on urban transit connectivity within.
And I'll tell you what prompted this, us to, in the city of Fresno, we were pursuing a different avenue in terms of some grant opportunity until we were in Kansas City, and got to experience and hear about their light rail, which is only, I think, about 2 miles, but it is incredible what that has done for connecting people to downtown. And, you know, the cost was, quite frankly, not all that great for what they're experiencing on ridership. And so I think it is worth exploring, seeing what the, you know, we're not talking about a rail system that goes throughout Fresno or Clovis, but something that, that we can build upon.
So I just wanted to understand the motion. Is this
To table.
a reevaluation of the others with this one? Is this just to, because if we're doing a whole reevaluation, I would like more people on this committee other than 2 Fresno folks and you.
Okay.
But yeah, this is urban only. This is urban only.
But it gets to Clovis.
Maybe.
In this map. Well, in this map it does. So, in other words,
the FPMA is included, but it is being funded by a.
Yeah, I would be more than happy to have Clovis involved in that too. We'll stop at Willow, but
and we'll pick them up from there. So
I will say the city has a financial contribution to the study, and that's why they were included.
But
he's saying you guys are good to go. So we will include the city of Clovis.
Yeah. Well, I'm used to having Clovis tag along and not pay their way. So
take anything we get. So people willing to pay, we'll take it. And I think next time I would like to see just at least at minimum the scores. So that way we kind of know, because with this, we kind of just get, here it is, here's their proposal. And it's hard to argue one way or the other. And I appreciate that Fresno has the experience with one of them, or the one suggested here. But if we see the others, we can kind of look at it and go, oh, okay, the points was just 2 points apart versus 100 points apart.
Yeah, we can include that in the documentation only.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so then we're tabling it, and so there's a motion and a second.
And one thing, and I would include also the bid of each of the.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
they were all within like $1,000. I mean, they're all wanting the most amount that's available in the contract, so they aren't too competitive in terms of cost. It's more of the technical, but that more than happy to include the
They
cost.
all got within $1,000.
Yeah, they all basically went up to as high as they could go. That was within the allowed amount.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Any other questions before? So a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Okay, great. Caltrans, we're gonna go on to, poor Caltrans always, we should put you in the beginning.
That's okay. No, I'll be here anyway, so it doesn't matter when I go. Thank you. I realize the time, so I'll try to make it somewhat brief. Just a couple of announcements that I would like to make. As mentioned in the December board meeting, John Liu, who is the maintenance and operations deputy, retired. We have appointed a replacement for John. It's Jason Mao. It's a temporary replacement, so Jason will be in that position for up to a year. Jason's got pretty extensive traffic safety experience, had a number of leadership roles, and so he's going to be a great resource. Positive note, John has continued on as a volunteer for Caltrans. He loves working for Caltrans so much. He's now volunteering and giving his time for free. So we are committed. I think a lot of us are, but John's extra committed doing it for free. So we're really thankful to John.
That's crazy.
I've got some great news, and the cities that have been awarded the grants have already found out. There was a Clean California Employment Pathway Grant application that came in a few months ago. I sat on the selection committee. I'm really proud to say that we received 10 grant applications throughout the region, which includes Madera, Kings, Kern, Fresno counties. All 10 were awarded. 3 of them came out of the Fresno County area. Mayor Leon out of Huron. We got one for the O Street Beautification and Workforce Pathway Project. So that was awarded $200,000. Mayor Robertson for Selma, the 2nd Street and Downtown Arts Corridor Revitalization, $300,000 was awarded.
Mhm.
And then finally, Mayor Martinez for Mendota, 134,000 for the graffiti and litter abatement. So congratulations to
There
your
you-
3 cities. That's fantastic.
Awesome.
I do want to make one more push for the Caltrans DBE Small Business Summit. That's going to happen next Wednesday, as mentioned last month. Mayor Dyer is one of the keynote speakers at the event, so that'll be Wednesday from 9 to 3. Mayor Dyer still on for that? I think so. Also, there as a speaker will be the CalSTA Secretary, Toksoma Shakin, and Caltrans Director, our head director, Dina El Tawanzi, and then everybody here remembers Michael Navarro. Michael will also be there
Yeah.
presenting too. So looking forward to seeing you all there. It's a free event next Wednesday, Convention Center, 9 to 3.
What is it? What event is this? What event is this?
The Small Business Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Summit. DBE. I brought some flyers last month, put them back there. You do. You'll need to RSVP. If you want, Mayor, you can email me and I can send you the registration, or you can just Google it, Caltrans DBE Summit.
All right.
Probably easier and faster. I brought them last month. I didn't bring any this month.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just a quick update on a couple of projects. There it is. You got it. All right. We've got one Clean California project that's ongoing. This is the enhancement on 41 at Tulare and Divisadero interchange. We finally got the sculptures installed, so real happy about that. Plan establishment period is ongoing, should be wrapping up in the middle of next month. Really quickly, one more, Excelsior Expressway. That project will be going to construction this summer. There's a 4-month delayed start for some utility relocation. Expected to start, like I said, midsummer. Looking forward to that one. The Shaver Lake Viaduct is also going to be going to construction this summer as well. So 2 pretty important projects that I wanted to highlight quickly. So
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
anybody have any questions for me?
I have a question, Mayor. Shane, I have a question. I don't expect you to have an answer today for me, but I do expect an answer in the near future email. What are the efforts of
get back.
Caltrans doing for Highway 33 on making the crossings? Where are we at with that? So you take that with you and please send us an email. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, no, I think that's it. We don't have any staff items from staff.
you,
We don't
Shane.
have members. Any information from the members? Anything
Yes,
else?
I just wanted to make sure all you got your invitation to the Clovis Mayor's Breakfast. You're all invited. So we have tables there for you guys.
We got our tickets.
Oh, yeah. Do we got RSVP?
It's May 7th, something like that.
Yeah.
But it should be, yeah. So got tables all for you guys, for you too, Jerry. You don't have to pay total. Come across. Yeah. So please come. And then rodeo's at the end of the month as well, end of April.
Just a real quick message from staff on the parking situation. It's our understanding that the stairwell should be opening by early next week. One of the elevators is working. Hopefully you got the messages with regard to the parking situation. We've got multiple construction projects, renovations going on in the parking garage. We're hoping that those will be cleared up, I believe, by the end of next month, by the next meeting. So.
All right.
Yeah, we've been having a little bit of trouble with our elevator maintenance folks. So we're taking a look at that down way too often.
Yeah. And then also next month, on the agenda next month, we'll probably have an item related to the real estate issues, in terms of looking at other locations. So just a heads up. Thank you so much. Thanks.
You got a quick announcement?
Any
Before you
public
guys leave,
presentations?
hey,
Anybody
pause.
from the public? Okay,
Wait,
here we go.
hold on. We got a
But I
board
just want to
member.
make sure there's nobody.
No,
here.
they're they're not here. So we're having a gray water systems installation training, certification training in Huron. It's gonna be 8 to 10 Saturdays. They're gonna install gray water systems, and it's mostly for displaced farm workers. But if there's folks out there that really are interested in getting into plumbing, this is one way to do it. We'll have the plumbers union participating and giving the information on how to get into the union, and we'll be supporting them to be able to do that and to get
Dyer.
jobs.
I have something. I'm sorry to.
Gary.
Dyer, before you
Gary.
leave, can you find out what we can fix about the parking situation there. There's citations that are being given now because they're not right in the middle between the lines. I think that we need to figure out, that's a little bit kind of petty to me because it's like a lot of space and you're gonna go give a citation because they're not parking in between the lines.
Okay, I can look at it. I'm not familiar with that
Yeah. it's
issue,
just-
but I can tell you, Robert, I think you've been in touch with somebody in our staff.
I am.
On the parking issue. So,
Because I think that if there's room, I mean, if you're on the line, but you're still not taking two spots, because how many months ago? It happened to me months ago, but I guess now staff is saying that it's happening.
is it because the stalls are too narrow or you're not a very good driver?
It could be both. I don't know. No, but I just park it because you know what it is that we see that there's so many parkings that are
Yeah.
empty. You don't really,
So you just take two stalls?
no, it's not taking two stalls because I parked on the line.
Okay.
If you're gonna do it, go big, baby.
Well, I mean, in Parlier, I don't know how they do it, but in Fresno, we try to stay between the lines. I'll check.
Well, it might be that too, but I appreciate you. Oh, meeting adjourned and it's 7:42.
See what happened?